what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Lineage Break, a Grand Archive TCG podcast. I am your host, Cam. With me, as always, is Trusty Steve. Hello, Trusty Steve.
It's a week.
It is a week. We're without distortion on our mics today, which feels odd. I don't hear the. True.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't hear the buzz, and it feels foreign to me.
Honestly, like I want to cry because of how happy I am that it's not just like an hour of me sitting with these headphones on. But
we get to enjoy each other's dulcet tones, Stephen.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, like you said, hell of a week, Break Nation. We have lots to talk about. We have Distorted Reflections has been announced. That's crazy.
Woo!
We have Ascent Seattle has happened. That's crazy. That's about it. I mean, there's also a Silidar thing that happened yesterday. I guess
Silidar thing. We got a blanking on the studio, but we got a new VTuber collab.
Oh, true. It's a Niji Sanji thing.
Niji Sanji, that's it. Yes. Sara.
Yeah, it's Hoshikawa Sara, I think. Yeah. I don't remember. I'm not a big Niji Sanji guy. That's actually this weekend, Stephen. Right now, as you're watching, like you're not in Japan, assumingly none of you are because we don't speak Japanese. But that's happening right now. So I'm gonna be fucking staring at Merlin's Marketplace all weekend to see if maybe fingers crossed somebody on Merlin's that is English speaking can sell me some of those Faskers for an absurdly high price, but I will pay it. So
I'm just gonna wait and hope and pray that one of those Tariff Rings go up sale for not too much money.
That's tough, yeah, because those are store championship and regional winners that get that Tariff Ring. So that one's gonna be some big money.
It's so cute.
But the Faskers are going to be like a convention circuit, and they're starting today at Anime Japan, and then the Retold Fortunes are Ascent Akihabara promos, so those will be a little bit easier to get, the Faskers. And I'm on the I want to buy those CPR Faskers, I always have, but they're really hard to find, and minimum I'm probably paying $1,200. So, if I can get some equally cool Faskers to replace those with, and they probably cost me a third of that, what are they, probably $100 a piece? I can accept that, chat. That's me talking myself into it. But yeah, so that's exciting. Let's talk about Seattle. We were not in Ascent Seattle. We wish we were, but we weren't.
Oh, I saw you on stream. What are you talking about?
True. Yeah. Yeah. I hope you guys liked our stupid cameo. Big shout out to Lineage Break Sean for bringing me with him, and he went way farther with the bit than I would have, or he got the sweatshirt and put me in the hoodie or whatever. Unfortunately, the 5 seconds that I'm on stream, I was watching the stream behind me, and then I had FaceTime with Sean. But the stream was so far behind because, that's how latency works. I was 30 seconds behind what was actually happening. And so when they cut to me, I didn't realize it. And I, wasn't paying attention because the stream was so far behind. So I'm just, staring off into the distance. I look like a psycho. But yeah, I hope you guys like that. Shout out to Sean for doing that. And also shout out to all of our beautiful friends. We're very proud of the Lineage Break team who went to the event. Our very own Lineage Break Tex made top 32, and he was so close. I was winning in to make top 8. Ended up 18th, I think.
Unfortunately.
But
so getting close. Dream crushed by another friend of ours. Congratulations, John, for making your top 8.
Yeah, congratulations to Jahan Kalong for making his top 8. He deserves it. He's been grinding, and this is his first one, so we're very happy for him. It was it's a lose-lose and a win-win, right? Because two of our close friends were battling each other for the winning in, and at least I have to take it with the glass half full that at least one of them made it, where if they weren't playing each other, maybe neither of them made it. Who knows, right? So. Also shout out to Sean for playing Green Park Rangers at the event, who's probably the only person playing Diana at the event, let alone an ally stuff.
Well, that'll change soon.
That'll change soon, and we'll talk about that shortly. Also, something we have to address, Stephen.
Oh.
I know, chat, listen. I said some things last week, and I would like to defend myself, I think. But I said some things last week regards to Scepter of Awakening, one of our spoiler cards, and that I would eat my shoes or something if it made top 32, let alone top 8. And it did make top 32 and let alone top 8 thanks to one Chess Club Rex. So thanks, Rex, I guess.
My king.
In what I'm going to say is a technicality. It doesn't mean that I'm not gonna, the pay my due. I'm not saying that. However, I would at least like to appreciate that it is a 0 Terra cards in the deck, playing Dao Chan level 3 for the 3 life mostly. But whatever. We're not gonna dwell on that. No, I am not gonna eat my shoe right now. We'll figure out something. Obviously, a human being cannot digest a shoe, so I can't actually eat a shoe because it's impossible. We will figure out some way for me to be punished for my transgressions.
We could get a cake designed like one of your shoes.
Well, yeah, but then I'm just eating cake, right?
Yeah,
the chat wants me to be sad. I'm sure it's. Listen, if that's what we're for, I'm for eating shoe cake, but we will find some sort of ample punishment.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh my lord!
Perfy in chat says you can cosplay Blanche. She's right there.
That's actually not so bad. That's not miserable actually. That's I'm wearing a skirt, but the rest of it is probably fine. She's a very modest lady. Somebody finds me a Blanche cosplay, I can't fucking. Do you think I can make that? No, I can't do that.
Surely you just need to get
All right, thank you. Chad agrees that we can do that. As long as I can find a way to make the costume. I'm no cosplayer, so maybe we can ask Rex's fiance, who is a cosplayer, to help me figure that out.
We also have one Lineage break, Trenton.
Oh, true. Known cosplayer.
Trenton.
True. All right. So we'll worry about that. We'll save that for a special event, and maybe we'll have one of those soon, as we did just hit 500 subscribers on the channel. Woo!
Thank you all for continuing to support us.
Thank you so much for watching our silly show. We never expected when we started doing the show, 2 years ago, that anyone would watch it, let alone that people would subscribe. So we do very much appreciate it. With our 500 subscribers, that does allow us to do memberships and super chats and all that cool stuff. Not that we're trying to take your money, but we will probably do a membership program at a very low dollar amount and do some exclusive content for those of you that want to support us. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
It means a lot.
Shout out to Caben for winning Ascend Seattle. Is there anything else we want to touch on?
I don't.
It was a pretty even meta in Ascend Seattle, which is exciting.
Yeah, when Mitch posted the Spirit Breakdown at on X.com.
The Everything app. We're not sponsored. I actually hate them so much.
Yeah, same. You can follow me on Bluesky. I was almost breathtaken by how even the pie wheel is.
Yeah, it is. At least according to the numbers here, 36% fire, 36% water, 27% wind, 1% lost. Not Spirit of Slime. Yeah.
Lost Spirit.
Hanky.
I was floored. I was I think this is the first time in the history of Grand Archive where our meta has looked this even across the elements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really good spread, element wise, even champion wise was pretty even. Dao Chan very obviously had the highest representation. The deck of the weekend was that water fractal deck that Caven did take down the event with. I will say on record, I think that deck's a pile of shit. But a very good choice for a brand new meta, right? It's it's very consistent. It has very high damage numbers if you can't deal with what it's doing. So that deck had very high representation, and then there was a lot of the fire burn Dao Chan deck, which didn't do very well. But of course, the chess club list, which is a little bit more mid-rangey, plays a lot of recover in the main deck, stuff like Novice Healer and Allied War Priest to be able to, I assume, was built to play the mirror. That ended up doing pretty well. A couple of those chess club guys made day 2, and then of course Rex made top 8. So, but I think when you consider that the Dao Chan meta share was split between 2 decks, like I would say fairly evenly. There was more water than there was fire, but it wasn't like a far cry in one direction. It means that the split was pretty good because I think she was like 27% of the room, but you split that between 2 decks. You count them as 12 and 12 or whatever is I think pretty good. So we need more fledgling representation. That is true. I think Bifal's fledgling deck is really cool. Seen a couple of people play it. Our very own Trent locally has been playing a fledgling deck. Yeah, and it's not as bad as people think.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. But
yeah, lots of cool decks this weekend. Lots of new stuff. Goja taking up a large percentage of the representation as well. So
and I will like to add on to that Goja bit. I was wrong. I was wrong.
Dragon's good.
Dragon is good. Since we've seen the Dragon and the other Shenshu, I've been saying the Dragon's the worst one. But I lost to the Dragon. Turns out that you get hit twice with the Dragon. That
it'll kill you.
One of those arcane blasts will definitely be cast.
Yeah,
it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be.
So yeah, we'll see how the meta develops. I think that Seattle was very obviously like the closest we've ever had an Ascent to a set release. It was just 7 days after the set release. So I think obviously things are in a bit of flux, and I think those decks will change. But hopefully, in a similar vein, like hopefully the meta will stay as open as it is now, as people sort of figure out how to hone these strategies. Like, I'm sure that water fractal deck will still exist and will become a little bit more tuned and a little bit less 40 fractals, 12 win cons. Yeah. Hope for the best. And same with, the Goja decks, the Fireburn decks, all of these new decks that have sort of cropped up, even people experimenting with old stuff like Rai and Kongming and stuff that we're seeing some reasonable amounts of play in Seattle. I think we'll get tuned over time.
Honestly really surprised that no one was playing, from what I could tell, like a Kongming, or not Kongming, Dao Chan, like mill strategy.
Yeah, it's tough. I think for the better, even Nico was very low representation. It's cards like Censor are just so good against that. And shout out to everybody when that card got spoiled. It was like, man, that card's so bad. They're just gonna fracturize it. And turns out literally everyone's playing it in their main deck. That card is quite good.
Not a fan of that Censor card for reasons later on.
Yeah, I am a fan because it means that Mill is not the predominant water deck in the format, so that's pretty cool. The water deck that took down the tournament, obviously in the hands of the very talented Kevin Schwarzentuber, not playing Fractal Vrain is like crazy, right? They don't want cards in their graveyard at all, which is awesome that we get to see water be a little bit more diverse than it normally is. So that's Ascent Seattle.
Yeah.
Congratulations to all of the winners. Congratulations to all of our friends and the Lineage Break team and anybody that we know and love. We're all very proud of you. And you know who you are, you have a mnemonic charm. Bang my line. So, guys, you've been waiting for the important thing. Also at Ascent Seattle, I don't know if you guys knew, at these Ascent events, they do a little presentation at the end of the event, and leading up to the event, we were getting all sorts of spoilers, sneak peeks about DTR, at the time unnamed, was going to be announced at Ascent Seattle. We were getting these black silhouettes of champions. At the time that you heard from us last, we only had the mage cleric silhouette, and then like maybe 12-ish hours after the show last week, we got the Guardian silhouette. I think that one was pretty clear to most people that it was going to be Guardian. But
big sword mean Guardian usually.
Yeah. So DTR has officially been announced as Distorted Reflections. They've officially announced that Diana is coming back. We are getting a new Guardian named CL, and it will be a Ranger Guardian focused set, much like Ambi was a Mage Warrior focused set. Steven, how you feeling?
You know, I've simped before in the past, and I bet a lot of people that are regulars of the show will understand or judge that I've jumped on bandwagons before and said that I would do something, and then I never did.
True.
Because, you know, either the deck didn't speak to me, or in Tristan's case, I didn't play in that format because I had a lot of real life stuff going on. So I just never invested the time. I'm here to tell you that Umbra Guardian is everything I've ever wanted. And especially the connotations that we've gotten from the product sheet, which we'll get into a little bit, I couldn't be happier. I am going all in on this champion. I am currently working on saving and selling cards so I can afford the CSR lineage for this champion. I am so excited for him.
And I'm glad for you, Steven.
Words can't describe how much I'm simping for this. I've been asking nonstop in our private chats for random Umbra cards in foil that I think maybe will be good. So if you happen to have, Fractal of Siphoning in foil.
CSR Carters he's looking for.
Yeah, you know. Maybe not those, but you know, I just, if you have, you know, foil of Fractal of Siphonings, just hit that DM.
Bang my line, as the kids
Bang
say.
my line, as Cam says, because I'm specking on things based off some text that we have for the product sheet.
Well, I'm very excited for you, Steven. I think you deserve it. It's been a long time where you've been sort of without a firm champion identity.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that hopefully this is the one. He's very cool. Umbra is very cool. He's got a bit of a graveyard theme going on, which I know we've talked about on the show, that we're both big fans of. So I'm very excited for it to be Steve's time.
Yeah.
You guys don't have to bully me about my 100 girlfriends or whatever. This is Steve's set.
Yeah.
All right.
Finally, Cam gets to take a break.
Yeah, I just get to sit here.
His
and
wallet doesn't get to get hit every 4 months. You know. But surely, you know, set 8 goes crazy with the cleric stuff, and he has to simp again.
Yeah, who knows? They're always gaslighting. Siladar told me the other day that I am going to be a Diana simp, and I refute that very much. She is extremely cute, but Ranger is not for me. We have a local Ranger player, our beautiful Sean. It's for him. It's not for me. I'm not going to play Diana. Yes, I understand her aesthetic is very up my alley. I'm sure she'll be a very cute and cool magical girl, and I'll be very jealous of all of you Ranger players. But I am not a Ranger player. I cannot start down that path, bro. It's just too much.
I would like to point out.
I'm out.
One Andrew Texera.
Yeah.
This is Ranger cleric.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if she's a cleric, I'll play her. But I don't think that's absurd, right? If she is my class, sure, I'll play her. If she's dual class, a level 3, she's a cleric. If she's a flip champion, who knows? Speaking of flip champions, Steven wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. So, you know, for a while now, I've been on this weird, because, you know, we DTR, and with our constant looking into the lore, we had that clip from a proxy, Regaling Regalias.
Talked about it last week.
We talked about it last week, where there is a reflection theme. And now that we have, distorted reflections, I've been on this theory that maybe the champions are split. And there's a dark and light version of each champion. Where our level 3s might be DFCs.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they talk about that. They talk about the reflection of your dark self a lot.
Diana's fighting with a lot of inner demons and stuff.
There's a lot of text that leads to believe that maybe this could be it.
It's true. We're very excited to talk about the lore. But I think before we get to the lore, which we will, of course, talk about today, we want to do some looking at the text for all of you gamers out there that don't care about the lore and just care about new cards and shiny things. There's a couple of interesting pieces of information, as always, that we can glean from the product sheet. We'll start with the first couple that are pretty easy, that I'm sure everybody has noticed. We did have the announcement of both of the starter decks, being CL Mirage's Grave and Diana Moon Piercer starter deck, CL being a Fire Umbra Guardian, and Diana being a Water Astra Ranger. I don't know why they always make Astra water, but
It's weird.
But something that's interesting here, that again I'm sure you guys have picked up on, but in case you haven't, both of these starter decks do name the level 3 champions in Diana Moonpiercer and CL Mirage's Grave, which I think is pretty obvious from their naming conventions that they have a connection to their advanced elements, that sort of spooky ghost theme from Umbra, and obviously Moonpiercer has that the star future seeing Astra sub-theme to it. But these are not the names of the champions that were announced. These are only on the product sheet. So this does confirm, obviously in CL's case, that he is getting a full lineage, as they announced him as CL Loyal Valet, which is assuming his level 1 that we have the art for. The art that's everywhere is assumingly his level 1. But also it does confirm not like Sylvie or Tristan, or I guess more like Tristan than Sylvie. Diana is also getting a full new lineage, as she is announced as Diana Aether Dilettante. So for you Diana fans out there, you now, congratulations, have the largest lineage in the game. You have two full lines, 2 level 3s from ALC, and then maybe more Diana champions from MRC. We will see about that sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is something to note on this sheet. Now, Steven. I made a big to-do on the internet, on our X account, that you can follow us if you are on that terrible app, that we had made a discovery. It is a discovery that I guess I made, but I do want to give credit where credit is due to people like Trevor and Kevin in the Discord on the Lineage Break team for helping me see the missing pieces, because I had the idea, but I couldn't put 2 and 2 together. And so shout out to you, gentlemen. Something that I like to do whenever a new product sheet comes out is they give us the set breakdown. It shows us how many CSRs we have, the CUR, or if it's going to be there. I guess now that's sort of a shoe-in, right? They give us the number of unique cards, and they give us the number of foil variations. And so we've talked about this a lot on the show, where every time a product sheet comes out, we do the math. But this time, chat,
The math didn't math.
The math tells us a story, which I think is actually pretty interesting, that I think not a lot of people have discovered. So if we look at a set like Mortal Ambition, is a great example. If you look at Mortal Ambition and you take the number of unique cards, the number of CSRs that are in the set, and you compare that to the number of foil variations, there's always more foil variations than there are unique cards in the set, right? And that's because not only do most of the cards in the base set come pack foil, but there are also those CSRs. So usually when you add the number of unique cards that come foil, you add the number of CRs, you get to that number of foil variations. So using A and B as an example, because it's pretty simple, if you take the number of unique cards in that set, you subtract 3, because there are 3 spirits, because it's a main booster set, and the spirits don't come in foil. So you subtract those 3, and then you add the number of CR treatments in Mortal Ambition, you will get to the foil variation number, which makes sense. You remove the spirits, means everything else in the set comes foil. You add the CSRs that they tell you the numbers for, you get a complete picture, right? And that's usually the case, that you can sort of extrapolate maybe a little bit of information, like in A and B's case. Everything comes foil. There was no lineage breaks. The only things that didn't come foil was the spirits, we got to glean that information when we looked at the product sheet. The problem arises when you look at Abyssal Haven, which just came out. And so before looking at the DTR product sheet, I looked at Abyssal Haven to, sort of for a sign of reference to make sure that HVN adds up. So then I can be like, okay, HVN adds up. Let's look at DTR. And the problem that I was coming to, HVN's a little bit weird because they did that thing where they only printed Seiryu as a CSR in the booster set, but not the regular card. So the numbers were a little bit messed up. But no matter how I split it, every time I did the math for the HVN product sheet, I was one card over. There was one more foil variation that I couldn't figure out. I was like, why does this not add up? What am I missing? There's one card that's missing. And then shout out to Kevin, who's on the team, made a discovery on like TCG Player that they list the backside of the Lubu CSR, because it's a DFC, they list the backside as a different foil variation because she has different art. So like Lubu, normally, being a CUR, would only have one foil variation because it's just a variant on the normal card on both sides. But because the CUR got different art on its backside, it actually gets two foil variations because they have to count the backside as a different variation because it is a completely different art. And if you do that, that means that HVN adds up. That's where that extra card came from. It was the DFC backside of the CUR. Mm-hmm. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a mouthful. DTR is a little bit more simple. DTR is a main booster set. So, if we consider that this main booster set will, of course, have a reprint of the 3 basic spirits, you can remove those from the number of unique cards. We can use the literal numbers so that you guys can see. There are 222 unique cards in the set. So if you subtract 3 from that, what is that, Steven?
It's 219.
True. So if we take that 219 and we add the 15 CSRs that are announced here on the product sheet, and the 1 CUR, which is a total of 16 cards, what does that come out to, Steven?
So, 235?
No.
No?
Comes out to 233.
233? Does it?
Yes.
I'm bad at math. Sorry, guys.
Yes. So, if you look at the set, you want to do the math? We can do the math live.
No.
The math has been done, I promise. So, what this means is much like HVN, when you do the math for the booster set, we are missing 1 card. And if history is anything to look at in the terms of Grand Archive, what happened with HVN is because the CUR was a DFC and got different art on the backside, there was 1 extra foil variation. And so what I think this means is that not only are we confirming that double face cards are coming back to Grand Archive, it was not just an HVN thing. I think it means DFCs are back, and the CUR of the set is a DFC, and will have alternate art on its backside.
Could be cool.
Doing math is neat, everyone.
Yeah. So this all brings my theory that we talked about earlier on the show more merit that our champions might be DFCs. However, I don't believe the CUR will be a champion. I think much in the way of HVN, it's going to be some sort of cool ally that turns into a level 4.
I did the math, by the way. I was thinking of it the wrong way. You are right. It does come out to 235, but that is what I mean. There's 1 card that's unaccounted for.
Right.
So, I think that's interesting. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I like numbers.
Yeah.
But we could be wrong. Who knows?
Yeah.
There could be any number of reasons that is not the case. So not literally guaranteed, but if it's 2 DFCs, yeah, who knows? But I think it is interesting that the numbers don't add up in the very least. This is also the case for things like Lineage Break champions that don't normally come foil, so those do like sort of throw the balance out of whack. So we don't know exactly what they're doing, but I think if we can use HVN as a sort of guiding line, that makes sense. So yeah, very interesting. So we'll see what that means in the future. Maybe we'll have DFCs. Maybe there'll be Lineage breaks. Who knows? That is also on the table. But they didn't do any in A and B, so I assume that we've sort of moved away from that. I think the thing that makes the most sense to me as far as Lineage break champions go is that they made a set of them, like one set of them for each class. That's why they stopped after ALC. Because it was the first introduction of those classes, so you wanted a little bit more depth, right? You didn't want to only have one cleric to play, so they give you a second cleric to play. But I think going forward, we'll probably just be getting mainline champions or like recollection champions like they did before. So anyways, that's cool. Numbers are neat. We'll see. Unfortunately for us and DFC being far off in the future, we won't see for quite a while.
Yeah. But, all right. Hear me out, weebs.
I'm
talking to you,
Theo directly.
Theo and whoever else, Silidar, if you're watching.
Travis.
There's a lot of cleric stuff. We've had cleric stuff every time we've done spoilers. I'm asking, I'm on my knees and I'm begging. Can I spoil like an Umber UR or something, please? Please.
This is Steve's time.
This is my time. Please let me have it. Let me have a Guardian Umber card so I can spoil. Cam's okay with it. I already talked to him. We don't need to do another cleric. Let me do the Guardian stuff, please.
Give Steve a bone. He's literally begging.
I'm here. I'm on my knees. I'm here.
Ayo. All right. You can spoil Carter. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. So, our favorite part, numbers aside, because we're not good at math. It takes us too long to do any of that. Our favorite part about any new set release and any new anything. All right. Our favorite part about any sort of new stuff is the lore.
Woo!
Shout out to Bell. Bell, when lore?
When lore?
Come on.
Please, I need more.
Come on.
Please.
Anything. All I'm saying, and I think we've said this before, and before we get into the lore, I want it to be very clear. I am super, super happy with the setting for the new set. I think it's unbelievably cool, and I think it gives Bell and the team a lot more room to explore and do their own thing and do storytelling that doesn't have that sort of like baggage like Three Kingdoms does, where they do have to sort of abide by some rules, right? So I'm super, super excited to hear more about DTR. And I think this world is super interesting and very, very cool. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But please give us a conclusion to, HVN. Because every set that's come out in the history of Grand Archive, we don't have any conclusion to the conflict. Is Dao-Chan dead? Is that why Lubu's mad? What's going on?
Yeah.
Please, one lore. But we'll have plenty of time for DTR lore because it's so far away. But we do have some interesting things to talk about and lots of speculation that we can do with the lore. So, as we normally do here on the show, we're going to take a quick read with you using Steven's sultry tones.
Yeah. But before I do that, I would also like to just congratulate Bell.
Congratulations.
For being able to design a character fully for the first time and in CL. She posted on Twitter that this was the first time she took a champion from beginning to end completely.
And I couldn't even tell with the Black Butler Edgelord.
Edgelord together strong.
If you put them in a lineup, there's no way that I would be able to point to that one and be like, that's the one that Bell made, the Black Butler character. Yeah.
We had a little exchange on X, and it was a little
All right.
Yeah. Let's see.
Start at the top with our world setting.
Yeah, let me
get your reading voice on.
Welcome to Distorted Reflections. Two worlds, once destined never to meet, now stand at the brink of entwining as a foreign force tears open a portal, the Looking Glass. On one side lies Wonderland, a realm of whimsy and wonder where mushroom forests can shift one's size, enhance gardens, bloom with larger-than-life roses, ruled by the formidable Queen of Hearts. This matriarch thrives on whims of its sovereign. Where trials unfold in the court's theatrical halls, though whether justice prevails is another matter entirely. Beyond the Looking Glass stands Lucina, a queendom of order and ambition, where rivers carve through disciplined fields, and battle-hardened rulers sit upon 3 thrones. In this land, strength is measured in combat prowess. Strategy reigns supreme.
So, we have our Alice in Wonderland themed world setting. If that wasn't clear, we get literally through the Looking Glass or whatever is written in that top line of text, or that top paragraph rather. It's a little bit hard to talk about things as a whole until we get through all of this, but this sort of sets the scene for our 2 different worlds that are sort of paralleled, it seems like. One is that very typical like Alice in Wonderland place, which I think is literally called Wonderland.
Yep.
And then we have Lucenia, which is the like sort of more, I guess I would assume, still in that like fantasy setting, but a little bit more real world in that it's not full of whimsy and magic, and is a little bit more military,
militaristic,
regimented,
medieval. I'd also like to point out that though there are 2 places, we have Wonderland and Lucenia, they are both on one world called Underworld.
It's called Underland.
Underland, yeah. And they are like split dimensions on one world.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Conflict.
The Golden Queen, beloved by all in Lucenia, has vanished without a trace, just as the realm found solace in crowning 2 outsiders to complete its thrones. Her sudden disappearance casts a shadow over the land. Whispers ripple through the kingdom, murmuring of a fabled Jabberwock, a nightmare reborn in hushed tales. Yet more chilling still are rumors of those who walk between dimensions, warning not to gaze into mirrors, lest their own reflections betray them.
I think before we talk about anything else, we should just go through the rest of it, because I think that makes it easier to talk about.
The Grand Archive. At the behest of Lucenia's remaining queens, the champions step through the Looking Glass and tumble into a world of whimsy and wonder. In this topsy-turvy realm where logic is but a suggestion and nonsense reigns supreme, they search for the missing Golden Queen and seek to uncover more about the fabled Jabberwock. Along the way, they cross paths with curious creatures, mischievous hosts of endless tea parties, and gardens that whisper secrets to those who listen. But amidst the peculiar and the fantastical, the greatest mystery waiting to be unrevealed are the ones that are hiding from each other.
And then there's one more bit that is on the product sheet itself, which is different.
Is that the booster box stuff?
Yes.
Welcome to Underland, a world where magic and madness entwine in an endless waltz. As champions travel deeper down the rabbit hole, they must decipher the riddles of this bewildering realm, uncover the fate of their vanished predecessors, and face their most formidable foes yet, themselves. Will they piece together the fragments of reason and save Underland, or will their house of cards collapse into darkness?
Lots of puns. Like all these stupid puns. Houses of cards and through the Looking Glass. So there's a lot to talk about here. We'll worry about the champions individually a little bit later. Obviously, we have CL being new, which we don't know a whole lot about other than his description. And then we have Diana, who's coming back. This is post ALC. and she is dealing with some, some like inner turmoil and trying to move past the darkness of her past and become a new person, which is a perfect place to fight your own reflection, right? Is all about inner turmoil. But there's a couple of things that we can glean, I think, from this. It's always tough when we talk about Grand Archive, especially being such a new game, that we don't exactly know what story beats they're going to pull from, or what like sort of cast of returning characters we're going to interact with, because again, we've said it a million times, and hopefully a few years from now we won't have to say it anymore, but the game pre and post Bell is very different. And so we have a lot more information now, but we don't really have a whole lot of information about the past of Grand Archive. But something that I think is important and shows up in a couple of places here in the lore description is at the top, it says that the world is at the brink of entwining as a foreign force tears open a portal. Foreign force, assumingly being outside of Underland, and some other, force is being applied to Underland, and it's before the Grand Archive gets there, because the Grand Archive is dispatching these champions because of this problem that's happened, this portal that's torn open, and the Golden Queen has gone missing. So some outside force is manipulating this. There is, of course, the very distinct possibility that, again, the game is so new that this is just sort of a misnomer, and the foreign force is something that we will find out in the set, and it's something we've never heard of. This is sort of what happened when we talked about Mortal Ambition, and we made all these sort of, predictions that this evil man, Shosi or whatever, was evil Rai, but it's just, just some Three Kingdoms guy. Yeah. But there is something to be said that if we do continue with characters from the past, there is one subsection of characters that does have the ability to traverse to other worlds that are not part of the Grand Archive, and assumingly are showing up to different worlds in pursuit of saving their own. This is referring to, of course, the Obliviate, which did this on Azoth. They showed up on Azoth mysteriously to, sort of pull the strings in hopes of fixing their own world, and Vanitas was very much like on the side of the Alliance that was trying to start the revolution, and maybe that's because the power of the Mercurial Heart or something was something he thought he could leverage to save his own world. So anyways, maybe Vanitas has something to do with this. Possibly. Foreign force tearing open portals is probably something that not a whole lot of people have access to, but again, this could just be a new villain that we are unfamiliar with.
I would also like to point out that there's another champion that we don't know the fate of that could be it.
That is true. Please tell me it's not fucking Tristan again.
It could be Tristan, because Tristan also has the ability to transverse worlds, and she's not part of the Grand Archive.
True.
But also, maybe Merlin gained the power.
Oh, God.
To transverse worlds.
Yeah, maybe.
Because the last time we had issues with Regalcy, it was Merlin. Taking control, killing Uther.
This is true, and I think a good segue into the second part of this, maybe relating to other Grand Archive lore, is that they mention in the conflict of Distorted Reflections that the Golden Queen, who is one of the thrones in Lucenia, who is beloved by all and everyone loves the Golden Queen, disappeared just as the realm found solace in crowning 2 outsiders to complete its throne. So Lucenia is ruled by 3 queens. It does say queens. They're both matriarchies. Pog. No boys in my fucking Grand Archive.
Yeah.
However, that means that before the Golden Queen disappeared, she was the only throne that was occupied.
Correct.
Who knows what happened to those other 2? I don't know why those thrones were empty, but they were filled by 2 outsiders. And again, it sort of seems like this is something that happened before the Looking Glass was opened, right? That like they just found solace in filling their thrones. The Golden Queen was there. These 2 new queens were here. Slay, Queen. And then this Looking Glass thing happened. The Golden Queen disappeared, maybe kidnapped into Wonderland is the assumption. But who are these outsiders that have claimed this throne? I like, we know Belle. She's a great writer. And I just always assume that these aren't like filler words that are put in here. Like, we do very specifically use the word outsiders, which you didn't need to do if it wasn't important.
Right.
Like the thrones being filled wouldn't even need to be here. You could like have this whole conflict where the Golden Queen that everybody loved, she went missing. And now they have to go find her. But they do specifically mention that 2 outsiders take up 2 thrones in Lucenia. And we do, like you mentioned earlier, have a lot of people that could probably do this. Tristan, Merlin, and this
Nico.
is Nico, sure. And this is the world in DTR that is sort of ruled with like a militaristic view. So these are people that are nominated based on power, not like, democracy or whatever. They're like, nominated to be queen because they're strong, right? And so obviously Grand Archive champions are assumingly more powerful than most beings on most places, right. Especially ones like Merlin or Tristan that have already reached their sort of level 3 status as a Grand Archive champion. Gives them these sort of, demigod-esque powers. So that's also something to make note of. There's a couple of outsiders sitting on some thrones that maybe we'll get back to at some point.
And you had mentioned something about the queen's disappearance. Like, there's 2 empty thrones. It does reference that they're like trying to find what happened to the queens as plural later on.
The Golden Queen is who they're seeking. They search for the missing Golden Queen and uncover more about the fabled Jabberwock. So, assumingly, the other 2 are there, I think. Yeah. Peculiar, for sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was in regards to the 2 remaining queens that they go do it. So surely the Grand Archive is sending Diana.
Yes.
Because she is a Grand Archive member. However, CL might not be a Grand Archive champion.
Yeah, I sort of assumed that he was.
He's very much whimsical in his art here.
That's true, but like Kongming and Goja are also both like Mortal Ambition or the 3 Kingdoms characters, right? That are Grand Archive champions.
True.
I would assume that he's a GA boy, but maybe he's not.
Well, I'm just gonna read the little blurb that they give about him on his starter deck sheet. He's a nervous valet whose true power is only revealed when his mask is donned. Who is the real CL?
Yeah, we also we have a quote from him that we got when he was like teased, that I believe is about
serving his mistress.
Yeah, it's like, I'll do anything to protect my mistress or something. It is hold on, I have it right here. By any means, I will save my mistress. So it's possible that
he is the Golden Queen's butler.
Yeah, he's the butler of the Golden Queen. I think that's like pretty likely. Again, it's tough to say. The way that they don't make it like explicitly clear who is and who isn't from the Grand Archive. But if we open up that can of worms, Stephen, and let's assume that he is an Underland resident, right? That's getting a champion, sort of like Merlin, or Tristan, or whatever. Any of these powerful beings that could become a champion, not a Grand Archive champion, but a champion. They do say in the product sheet that the hold on, let me pull it up. At the behest of Lucenia's remaining queens, the champions step through the looking glass and tumble into a world of whimsy and wonder. Now, you can take this one of 2 ways. If we're using the word champion and we are referring to CL, he is a champion. We could assume that this is some from the Grand Archive in the form of Diana, and one in the form of CL, both being sent by the remaining queens of Lucenia, which would make sense that CL would want to come with, right, to save the Golden Queen, if he is indeed her butler. However, this section is titled the Grand Archive,
Mm-hmm.
which makes me think it is referring to exclusively Grand Archive champions, which may give us a notion that there are additional Grand Archive champions that are being sent to Wonderland if CL is not included, because they do use champions plural. But I do think he's probably included, and he's probably just sort of like, it's hard for them to write everybody as a like homeworlder GA champion when they want to give them set flavor, right?
He could be similar to Tony, where Tony was a GA member,
Sure.
but then stayed on Azoth.
It's possible. He's described as nervous, which would make me assume that he's maybe new to the job, but perhaps not.
Oh, that's true.
Assuming it's fresh blood.
I was also thinking maybe like nervous that the Grand Archive is back, and he had like shirked his duties or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
But
Lots
also
of mystery.
the donning the mask changes his personality.
True.
Also is very interesting to me.
Yeah, he's got that split personality for
yeah.
sure. Who is the real CL? Yeah, maybe he's amnesiac anime protagonist. Who knows?
Right. Like
Doesn't
maybe
remember who he is until he puts on the mask.
Maybe
nobody cared who I was
until I put on the mask. Maybe he's the reason why the Golden Queen's missing.
He just did it and then forgot.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sorry, I was wearing the mask. I think the only last thing to touch on is there's a lot of mention of the Jabberwock, which is like a mythical creature from Through the Looking Glass.
Right.
Which assumingly has something to do with the conflict. They do mention it not once but twice.
Yeah.
So we have to assume that there's some part of this. They're not necessarily like a humanoid. I don't know where we sit as far as the Jabberwock's like intelligence.
Usually
goes.
the Jabberwock is controlled by the Red Queen.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Usually in Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass, the Red Queen is the villain. Off with their heads.
Right.
Yeah. And they even mention that she sits court, but it's not always like a fair trial.
Yeah, it's interesting because they refer to the Lucenia queens, like the Golden Queen, right? As that name, and so the assumption is that the other thrones are like, the Red Queen or the White Queen or whatever. But they refer to Wonderland's ruler as the Queen of Hearts, which is also, the Red Queen, right? But like maybe in a sort of otherworldly sense.
Reflection?
Yeah, so like maybe the Red Queen, Lucenia, is not evil, but her sort of
Wonderland
reflection in Wonderland is evil and is responsible for capturing the Golden Queen,
Interesting.
Maybe using the Jabberwock.
Right.
Assumingly. Which is like usually a big, like, it's like a chimera-esque, like,
it's
big
like a
dragon,
big,
right?
Yeah.
So big dragons, maybe. You guys love big dragons, right?
Right.
Maybe that's our Sea-War.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think that's it. My classic catch, yeah, we love Charterwalk. Yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's everything that we wanted to touch on. We can touch on Diana as well, because we gave CL's blurb a read, but Diana is she's got a little blurb
a
of her
veteran marksman. Diana is determined to move forward away from the darkness of her past, but in this new world, she is forced to question everything, including herself.
Poor Diana. She's got a troubled time.
I like the fact that Diana, previous Umber champion, goes to a new world that has an Umber ley line and says, "Nah, I liked what that Arisana was doing. I'll take that one."
Do you, Steve? Do you think Arisana and Diana are friends?
I think so.
I think they're besties.
I think they are. If you look at the Frostbind, right, they look like they're hanging
Where's
out.
Belle? Belle, are they besties? When you watch this, because you're asleep, because it's 11 a.m. or whatever. When you watch this, please let me know. Are they besties? Right. I don't want spoilers. I just want you to tell me if they're besties, because that's the only like hopium that I can cling on to for the rest of time. We also do have a quote from Diana from her reveal, her Magical Girl reveal. That's totally not a ranger. This says, "Break free from the shadows of yesterday," which now makes a lot more sense. We thought this was sort of like set related or like maybe Astra related. We were right about that. Yep. She is an Astra champion, but this is more reflective of her own self, where she's trying to break free from quite literally the shadows of yesterday, which is, in ALC where she had that umbrella line. And she was, I'd have to double check, but I think Azoth was her first mission. Right. I believe and so assumingly Umbra is her first time that she's gotten an advanced element, and obviously Umbra is very, very powerful, and I always assume has a sort of like Lord of the Rings connotation to it, right? Like immense power at a cost, you know. So she wants to turn her back on that and take the Astra path to look towards the future. So it's cool. Yeah, I do really like that we're getting to see a different side of these champions, and it's worth noting from a mechanical standpoint. Here's where the copium comes in. I gotta sprinkle some in there somewhere. We've seen Tristan return, we've seen Sylvie return, but it was in like sort of strange ways, right? Like Tristan returned, and I think is the most true form of that word, where Tristan came back in MRC, but it was to give her like sort of the support that she deserved, right? Like we turned her from a Lineage break level 2 champion into a full champion line. Sylvie came back, but she was only in the Recollection deck. It was only one new card, and it sort of didn't have any like story implications, because Recollections are supposed to be like a look at what champions are doing in other places that are unrelated to the current story, right? Tristan's Recollection was a exception to that rule, as she does have implications in MRC.
Right.
But like Sylvie's still in Cambria, right? Like we got the Recollection deck. She's still in Cambria. So this is the first time that we're getting a like actual true to form return for a champion. Diana is now going to have the largest lineage in the game. Discounting any sort of MRC stuff, she's going to have 7 champions, which is quite a lot. But personally, as a simp of one character in particular, it's nice to see that they are returning to older champions and not just like continuing to put out entirely new characters over and over and over again. We're seeing, that we're getting some commitment to older characters, and I think it feels a little bit easier with characters like Diana and Ari and Lorraine and Rai. These like Sylvie even. These, I guess she's not a Grand Archive champion, but whatever. These sort of Grand Archive based champions is a little bit easier. Like even though Kongming, right, and Guoja are Grand Archive homeworld champions that have a very distinct attachment to a world that they've never been to, which is, that sort of leap in logic that we have to take from a lore perspective. I think it feels really hard for me to like bring Kongming back, right? Like in set 8, we're in Wonderland, and Kongming has come back, the character that is very much obviously associated with the Three Kingdoms, right? So I think it feels a little bit easier to bring characters like Diana back, and hopefully we see that more with some of the other classic Grand Archive champions. Where I think it would be cool if this becomes the new norm, I guess, where you get like returning character, new character, returning character, new character, right? Or at least, those for like main booster sets. So I'm glad to see that Diana's back. She's obviously not for me, but it's exciting to see them fleshing out older characters. Yeah, and
I'd like to like look at these champions real quick before we end the show.
Oh, I'm looking at them.
And just like make a couple like speculations based off of what we've seen from them so far. I think that
you just want to talk about zombies.
I do just want to talk about zombies. CL is going to be some sort of reanimator deck. I think he is going to be a Graveyard Matters deck.
Mirage's Grave.
a lot of the current Guardian
Umbra
cards,
Carter,
or not, just like not class bonus,
Siphoning Fractal,
have to do with creatures dying,
allies
dying, and getting an effect after they die.
Yeah.
Momentum Mori.
Sick card.
It is cool.
That card's so cool.
Ally dies, you get a prize counter.
Mhm.
6 die, you crack it, draw some cards.
Draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
Recall.
So I think it's definitely a way to do that. You know, I think these cards that pre-exist are showing us this is probably how Seal wants to play. We saw that fire card on stream.
So odd.
And the more and more you look at her, the more and more undead theme is on it. There's like a fire ghost.
Zombie pilled.
There's a fire ghost. She's patchwork. There's skeleton hands grabbing at her from below.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think 100%.
I think definitely she CL will be a graveyard deck. Maybe bringing things back. Maybe just care about creature die. Do something.
Yeah, We do have to understand that we are Magic the Gathering players, and so is the development team. Mm-hmm. And yeah, a lot of the current Umbra pool that is not directly connected to a champion, stuff like Carter and Siphoning Fractal, has that sort of aristocrats feel to it, caring about creatures dying. I really like how Shadowverse handles their graveyard decks, where they, anytime a creature dies, obviously it's a digital game, but anytime a creature dies, you get like a resource, and then once you have enough of X resource, cards get text, right? They're like, oh, if 10 creatures have died this game, this card has additional text, right? Which is a little bit harder to do in a more traditional card game, but I think that those sort of themes are cool. I think like literal reanimator, and when we say that, we're referring, of course, to Magic the Gathering, putting creatures from your graveyard into play, I think feels a little bit like boring and less fun, a little bit more high rolly. Right. So I do hope that you're right, and it is sort of a ally death matters, number of allies in graveyard, et cetera, stuff like that. But I think it is insane to think that CL's not a graveyard matters deck.
Right.
Especially, something to note as well. This is not the first time that they've done a cadence like this, and we can look at HVN, the set prior, our current set, to look for, maybe is there anything that we see in HVN that maybe is for the future and could care about graveyards.
I think there's a card that we talked about earlier in the show.
Right.
What was that? Censor?
Yeah. I think main deckable, everyone's playing Censor. Cards in graveyards lose all abilities.
Right.
Seems like maybe with CL in mind. Chad also mentioned Drowned Exorcist, which is the same way. Ways to remove the graveyard. Brackish Ludist turns off floating memory at least. Things that will care about graveyard matters. But I assume that he is not going to be this like self-mill deck, at least not designed by the dev team, as a self-mill deck that we've seen in the past. He is a Fire Identity in his starter deck, and I think it'll be more about discarding cards or playing cards and removing them from the field. More cremation rituals than Fractal of Rains. Right. Maybe he'll care about them going from the field rather than being in the graveyard.
Yeah. But I could definitely see it pointing to that.
Yeah.
Now on the other side, talk a little bit about Diana.
Who knows?
I
think she's gonna shoot magical arrows.
Yeah. But I think it would, again, we point to cards that don't have class bonus in that element.
Yeah.
Things like Cosmic Bolt.
Yeah. I took a look. Granted, this was when I was still in my Copium era, where I was assuming this was going to be an Astra Mage champion. But I did look at the Astra pool to see how many cards don't have like class bonus or like very clearly Ari specific text. I think it is just Cosmic Bolt and Astrocyte. So I'm curious how they're gonna go about this. I think there's like two schools of thought, right? She's obviously going to be an archer, She has this magical bow and arrow in her art. We just, again, a bow and arrow support in AMB, where we saw the first introduction of actual bows and arrows, and pick them all up now. Pick up your whatever that terrible level 2 normal bow is, because she will be shooting arrows and not bullets. But I'm curious where they're going to go with the Astra mechanic, because unlike Umbra that we've seen a couple of times, this is going to be only the second time that we see Astra. And Ari is sort of like a very parasitic champion, it feels like all of her, or not parasitic, the other way around.
Symbiotic?
No, she's very selfish. All of her cards are very Ari-centric, right? Like they're all about herbs or specifically cleric class bonus star calling, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to know if star calling is Ari's identity or if star calling is Astra's identity. I think is very unclear. So I think we're either going to go one of two ways, where they're going to give Diana, sort of like Shadow's twin, right? Like access to Astra bows and arrows that like maybe glimpse and allow you to do the star calling thing if star calling is the Astra mechanic, or we'll see her do something completely different if they want her to have her own in Astra mechanic. But I think that the most important thing is you look at like Astra Sight, right? I think that glimpsing is very much a key part of Astra's identity, so I assume she'll do a lot of glimpsing. It's about looking at the future, right? So even if she's not doing star calling, she might get her own glimpse mechanic.
Right.
Or maybe we just give her, like bullets with star calling, which would be insanely sick. Because that is a problem that she has, for sure.
Like producing...
Yeah, you always have to spend your materialize to get your bullet or your arrow or whatever, right? And if you make those main deck ammos a little bit more reliable to find, right? Because the problem that she has is like, well, the only way that I get to have an actual materialized step is if I happen to draw an incendiary round.
Right.
So
that would be very cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So like an Astra arrow, you can
that has star calling.
Right. Yeah. You start calling it out for 1 or 0 or something.
Yeah.
Another cool thing with that, like glimpse star calling, is you can just play Cosmic Bolt. Right?
Yeah.
It's cool, right? So you attack.
Bolt's a good card.
Right. You attack with your glimpse bow.
Yeah.
You find a star call.
You maybe find 4 or 6 damage.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same way that Ari does it, surely. Right. But like that's what Ari was doing. I know that you guys may not know this, but she did exist before Polaris came out. That's what she was doing before that. She only had 4 bolts in her deck, right? And you were just like casting them for 6, and they're still pretty good.
I just really like the aesthetic of Diana pulling back a magic arrow, loosing the magic arrow, and then you find the Cosmic Bolt and it splits into 5 blasts.
Yeah.
It seems really cool.
Yeah. It does seem cool. They put me in a corner, Steve. They put me in a corner, and it's the best thing. Silidar, if you watch this, I know he's asleep, so he's surely not watching. But I assume he watches the show after it airs. He did the best possible thing that he could do for me and the worst possible thing that he could do for his bottom line. And he told me that I was going to be a Diana player. And so now I have to say no out of spite. I feel like, no, you can't control me, tax man. Yeah. I won't be doing it. Yeah. So very excited for all of you. Not for me. All right. So we're just going to, let that one go. But yeah, I think they're both very cool. I like Umbra and Astra a lot as elements. I think some of the elements that we've gotten in more recent times have felt a little bit more fleshed out, so it's more exciting to see those. Like I'm sure the next time that we see Arcane proper or Crux, or I guess we did see a little bit of Lux in this set, but I think when we see those like more classic elements, the second time they'll feel a lot more distinct, but like as somebody looking forward to something, I'm way more excited for like Astra and Umbra cards because I feel like we have a more complete picture of what they can do, where like I don't know what I would even describe Crux as. Crux's identity is cheating, right? Is something that the developer said once. So I'm very excited for Astra, Umbra. And I'm also very excited to, assumingly, again, if we use history as a barometer, assumingly get a third element, maybe a fourth. Not exactly in set 7, but just on the world. I think is pretty interesting to
usually I think
know what the other ley lines are.
Like worlds have up to 3. We haven't seen a world with less than 3.
Yes, yeah, exactly right. So there's assumingly a third, and of course, like we would be insane to think that set 8 won't have like recollection decks, and there'll be new champions in set 8, obviously, right?
Right.
And so we probably won't see until then, but I think that is definitely really interesting.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I think that's all I have for today. So it's a great day.
Lots of stuff to talk about. The worst part about DTR being announced is that we don't get to hear more for ever. Right. So far away. It's post Worlds. Like I can't even like see the world post Worlds. Right. Like it feels like that's an unachievably long time away, even though it's like 15 weeks or something until this set comes out. It's far. Please, Bell. One lore.
Yeah, we need
give us something to talk about.
Give us the conclusion of HVN. Let us know how that ends.
As soon as we get the conclusion of HVN, it's like eating your vegetables. We get our conclusion of HVN, which I am excited for, of course. But then we can start bothering her for DTR.
Yeah.
I really, 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 to the ends of the earth, really want another Regalia.
Yeah.
Please. It's so cool.
Regalias or just anything about the home world.
I just like really like Grand Archive setting, right? And I just really want to hear more about GA proper.
Right.
So hopeful. I know you're working hard. We're giving you a hard time, but we can't wait.
Yeah.
All right. We will see you guys next week. I think that's all we have for you this week. If you want to catch the show live, as you're catching it right now, you can do so at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, asterisk every Friday. If you want to catch the last week's show, you can find that Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, asterisk. Yes, we are an episode behind. Yes, we realized we missed it. There was some issues with getting the files off of the computer, so they'll be coming to you soon. Yeah, that's about it. So we will see you next week. Hopefully you are enjoying your HVN. Hopefully you are excited for DTR. And next week, there's a thing that I mentioned that one Silly Dar tweeted yesterday. But I think that's a good topic to save for next week. So we'll talk about that next week. And we will see you then. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Woo woo.
Woo woo.